Hello, everyone, and I hope you're enjoying the University of Lincoln Virtual Open Day so far. It's great to see you here in this chat, this part of the Open Day. My name is Craig Marsh, and I'm the Pro-Vice-Chancellor and Head of the College of the Lincoln International Business School at the University of Lincoln. It's great to have you with us. And this session is just to give you a little bit more of an idea about what it's like to study, to live, and to work at the Lincoln International Business School. We have already separately subject-specific talks available, and if you are interested in a particular subject, I do recommend that you go and listen to one of those subject talks where we talk in a bit more detail about some of the subjects that are available to you. So we will touch on that a little bit over the next 40 minutes or so, but I think the important thing over the next 40 minutes is for you to get more of an impression about what it's like to study here at the business school at the University of Lincoln. And in order to be able to do that with me, I'm delighted to be joined today by my three senior academics at the business school, my three heads of department, and I'll introduce them in a second, but also four of our student ambassadors who are all studying in the business school at the moment, who are here to give you a little bit of an idea about what their experience has been like here, both in terms of their studies, but also their experience at the university. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce in turn my heads of department. So Farhan, looks like you're first up. Farhan, if I could ask you to go first.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Very welcome to the Department of Marketing and Tourism at the University of Lincoln. My name is Farhan Ahmed, and I'm head of department, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here with you today. I've also got one of my second year advertising and marketing students joining me today, Bryan, who you can see on the screen, and I'm sure Ben will probably have more of an insightful advice for you with regards to our programs, but I look forward to telling you about my respective department during the course of today's discussions.
Thank you. So Ben, over to you. Let's hear from you. Say a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so good morning, everyone. I'm in my second year and studying advertising and marketing, like Farhan said. I'm originally from Derby, but moved to Lincoln, so it's only about an hour and a half away. In the future, currently I'm looking to do a placement next year. So currently looking in the industry of marketing. So it's a really exciting time at the moment, doing assessment centres, that sort of thing. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to giving my insight about Lincoln.
Thank you very much, Ben. Thank you, Farhan, and thank you, Ben. And we look forward to hearing a bit more about some of those topics that you've been studying so far and your aspirations well beyond Lincoln. So that's great to hear. Thanks, Farhan. Siobhan, I think you're next up. Siobhan, do you want to say hello? Need to unmute, Siobhan.
I'll start again. Hello, everybody. I'm Siobhan Goggin. I'm the head of Department of Accountancy, Finance and Economics. You're very welcome to the Open Day today. As you can imagine, the Department of Accountancy, Finance and Economics, we have lots of economics undergraduate programs, accounting programs, finance, and of course we have banking, which doesn't feature in our title, but is becoming a very popular area for our students. So I have one of my students here today with me, and that is Chloe. Chloe currently is a third year accountancy and finance student. So I'll hand you over to Chloe, who's going to tell us a little bit about herself and her program.
Thank you. I'm currently studying accounting and finance. I'm in my third year. I've actually had a lot of opportunities studying it. So I've been able to do a placement in the finance department at uni. And I've also got a graduate job with PwC next year. So I'm really looking forward to sharing my experiences.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Siobhan. Thank you, Chloe. And we will absolutely want to hear a bit more about your work experience that you've had so far and what your career opportunities are coming up. So we'll definitely come back to that. So thank you both. And Joanna, over to you.
Hello, thanks, Craig. My name is Joanna Smith, and I'm the head of department of the Department of Management. And that sort of kind of encapsulates everything that doesn't fit into the other two departments. So do check out our departmental talk discussion elsewhere today to find out a little bit more about the range of courses that we offer. I'm joined today by Valeria and Callum. So Valeria, can I turn to you first and just ask you to introduce yourself?
Thank you, Joanna. I am a second-year international business management student, and I am from Spain, but I used to live in London, so I don't qualify as an international student. And I am looking forward to taking a placement next year.
That's great. And no doubt we'll hear a little bit more later this morning. And Callum, tell us something about yourself.
Good morning, everyone. My name's Callum. I'm a third year business and management student. I'm from Norfolk, and some of the hobbies I like to do whilst I'm at Lincoln is rounders and photography. And I am going to be next year hopefully enrolling on a master's course at Lincoln after finishing my undergraduate.
That's great. Thanks, Callum.
And thank you, Joanna. And actually, what I'd like to do is, because we've just started to, I think, touch on some really interesting aspects of our students' experience. And Callum, if I may, I'm going to perhaps just start with you, if that's okay, because we've been you've been so active recently in terms of welcoming our new students to Lincoln under some quite unique circumstances. And perhaps, Callum, if we could just ask you to say a little bit more about the program you're studying, just a little bit about how that works for you, just what it feels like to be studying at the business school, and so we'll start with that, because there's many other things I know that you've been involved in. Carl?
Thank you, Craig. First arriving at Lincoln, it's a very welcoming experience. We get introduced to all the lecturers and program leaders. And with the business and management program, you're always continuously given opportunities on the course by the program leader, the business school, with activities that are run very frequently. There's great support from the careers employability. So if you're looking for part-time work or for placement opportunities in graduate schemes, overall, the business and management courses really helped me personally transform and rethink myself in a managerial aspect and putting the theory into practice. But it's also helpful during the time at Lincoln. I've been able to convert what I've done in the professional practice back in to the educational studies. And I think it's about, Lincoln's always about connections and building that great network. And recently, what I've done is create an isolation video to help students who are self-isolating, to show that the support is here for students, and Lincoln is always going to be here every step of the way to ensure your well-being, your educational, your academic is all met. It's been an amazing journey, and there is so much to discover at Lincoln. It's about finding what you want to achieve out of it personally, because the connections here is just more than you can ever imagine.
Callum, thank you so much for sharing that. And we all did watch your video. I think all of us were just fascinated by the way you described what it's like to be studying here under social distancing rules and in isolation. Have you found that it's how has it affected your learning experience? I suppose is the question. I think everyone's quite interested in that.
So it's a different experience, but it's also a unique experience at the same time, because we're all part of the same situation together. And I felt it to be quite interesting. I feel like I've been so able to continue on with my work. And again, there's amazing support given by Lincoln through my program leader and other staff members here. So I have always been quite confident in the work I'm doing. And it's just about thinking what else you would like to achieve during the time of self-isolation. So again, there's LinkedIn Learning, there's home programs I do, there's a lot that the residential warden team also do here to keep you busy. And it's just about rethinking and restructuring, but it's you're never alone, and it has been overall quite a positive experience, and I'm very much looking forward to the rest of the term and the rest of the year ahead.
Thanks, Callum. The other thing that was really striking of what you were saying, I think our students have mentioned this, is the work placements that you did. Would you perhaps just tell us a bit more about that?
In terms of, sorry, did you, as in the placements here, did you say, sorry?
Indeed, yeah.
Oh, I didn't do a placement, sorry.
Okay, so did you have that choice?
Yes, so for the business management program, there's an optional choice if you'd like to do placements, and there's even a module that even helps you build up your CV and your profile and getting ready for when you come to applying for placements, job interviews and graduate roles. And again, Lincoln provides us a continuous source of connections for guest speakers, for placement opportunities. And again, as mentioned for the careers employability, they do loads of great workshops together to ensure you're getting the absolute best and work ready. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find a placement. I've had quite a few friends who have been able to get placements this year, and so having a fantastic experience. It's just been fantastic, really. I think you are, looked after from the very start to the very end, and even when you finish your degree, you also get 2 years of extra support from the Careers Employability Office. So you'll always still being supported even when you finish your studies here.
Thank you very much, Carlo. And actually, I think what you're highlighting is just the enormous amount of time, effort, and support that we offered for both formal and informal, actually, for your job search, your career search, which is so important for all of our business students. And I know our 3 other students have all done placements, so we'll hear a little bit about them as well. You mentioned the Careers and Employability Module, where we put you through all of those wonderful things like assessment centres and so forth, which I know Ben mentioned a little earlier. So we'll definitely come back to it. So thank you, Callum, for that. And Valeria, you have had some amazing work experience while you've been here that you just touched on briefly. So perhaps you could just say a bit more about that.
Yes, last year I was a course rep for my degree, and I would communicate with my course leader, and I would just pass feedback from the students, and we would make sure that the university experience was the best experience that students could get. We worked really closely, and we managed to improve some areas. Students really had a great year. And this year it's been a bit different because of the challenging times. But I have been working as a school representative for the Department of Management. And this year I'm working with Joanna and some other course reps from the business school. And yeah, it's been really nice. I find it quite interesting because we all work really closely. We have meetings and we make sure that everyone gets a really nice experience and that we support everyone during these times. And also, I have been teaching Spanish for 2 years now at the university, and I teach 1 lesson every week. And this year it's been online, of course, through Teams or sometimes through Zoom. And students really enjoy it. I get students from even master's degrees and sometimes staff members. So it's really fun. We are really engaging, and we also have other languages classes. We have Italian, Mandarin, Romanian, many backgrounds, and we also do activities.
So Valeria, so there's 2 really interesting areas of student life that you described there. So one is the representative work that you're doing through as a course rep. You described a little bit of that. So perhaps just say a bit more about what's the role of the course rep? That's a voluntary role, isn't it? You didn't give you to. And what sorts of things do you do as a course rep?
I am always in touch with my module leaders or other members of staff, and we make sure that students get all the support needed for assignments, if anyone needs an extension for any circumstances, if they need support during the isolation periods. The university is also delivering care packages and food for students. So it's just a great way to make sure that everyone is happy at the university and that students' voices are heard. So I would communicate directly with my course mates, and then I would transfer this to the appropriate members of staff. And then we also have subject committees, and it's just a really interesting way to make sure that everything is working correctly.
And that's such an important part of the student experience that we have at Lincoln. I mean, we consider ourselves working in partnership with the student body, and I think the work that you're doing as a student rep is a very good illustration of that. That allows us to keep those communication channels open, allows the students to contribute to the development of our programs, and to make sure that you're involved in all of the day-to-day life, is supporting students as well, particularly in difficult times. So thank you, Valeria. That's a really interesting aspect of student life here at Lincoln. Thank you so much. And Joanna, if I come to you, we've heard from two of your students, Valeria and Callum, and we've got some really quite interesting things there about the sorts of things that are the heart of student life at Lincoln. Perhaps just to say a little bit more about how that relates to the sorts of things that you feel are really important in the Department of Management, which we know is a large department, right?
Yes, thank you, Craig. I think Valeria's example of being a programme student representative is a brilliant one in terms of showing how you can apply management theory to practice whilst you're on your programme. So Valeria and I met this last week, just gone, where we're actually tackling the management challenges of running the department. So she's helping me run the department in many respects. She's representing the student voice. Not only is she representing the student voice in her own programme, but she's actually got to coordinate with other student reps in other programmes. So it's all around teamwork, it's all around delegation, it's all around communication. And that's a big challenge while you're trying to study full-time as well. But it's an excellent way of gaining a huge amount of experience in a really applied way, which is going to be great for employers in the future. And that, I think, is one of the key areas. And to be honest, it's across the business school. Of course, it's not just in my area, but how you can practice those skills and then apply them to the workplace. So I would say that's one of the key features of all our programs, that they're very applied. There's a lot of practical experience, as well as learning theoretical concepts. And I think that's a key part of what we do. I think I've got to say the only other, there's so much I could say, and please do check out the talk, which goes into much more detail. I think the only other thing I would say that's probably more distinctive about my area is we do cover a range from the very general business and management programs right down to some more specific ones. So we do have that balance where you can mix that sort of preference around discipline. So that might be worth checking out if you're unsure what your choice is at the moment and how you might want to weigh up those choices.
Great, thank you, Joanna. And of course, the experience that Callum was describing as well in terms of the employability module, which is on many of our undergraduate programs. That was also, you were talking about how there's this very practical element to it, how the students are observing how we manage the school actually, and applying that to their programs. And that employability element is hugely important, isn't it? Particularly in Northern Ireland.
It is, and there is a careers and employability module that we've actually moved from second year. I don't know what year you studied it, Callum, whether it's in your second or your first year, but we've moved it into the first year now because we think it's so important. And then that follows through. So we're getting you to think about your longer term goals right from the beginning of your studies with us. And then you can be supported for your second year and of course into your final year as you pursue those career ambitions.
Great, thank you so much, Joanna. So those are our students who are studying the Department of Management, and Joanna is the head of the Department of Management. Ben, perhaps I could come on to you next, and you were also referring, I think, to the experience of having done this the employability module. You talked about the assessment centre. I think you went through. Did you say a bit more about how that felt and what that was about? Ben?
Yeah, so I think the careers and employability module, which was in my first year, was incredibly useful to give me a real indication of what it's actually like in a real sort of working environment. So not having to experience the whole stage of an assessment center, such as an interview, group presentation, competency exercises, that sort of thing. I think having that real life opportunity with the pressure as well is incredibly useful. So I think that was a good way to gauge how it would be in real life. And I think the feedback from the assessment centers is priceless as well. So actually being interviewed by people in the industry and people in the careers department, and they can give you real feedback as if you were actually applying for a job. I think it's really useful. It's something that I'm currently taking into my own assessment centers now. So I think that module, accompanied by the program leaders and the whole careers and employability center, I've used that a lot at the moment to support my own looking for placements. So I think it's really good that Lincoln starts with careers early. So already starting to begin and think about that was key to me then getting the feedback and improve myself.
Thank you, Ben. And actually, that you hit on a really key point there. That's something that we're very, very keen on. That even in your first year, sometimes it's the last thing you want to be thinking about is your career at that stage. But you found that quite useful for us to start to engage you at that time, really to start thinking about it early. So that's a plus for us in terms of the way that we start with that. And indeed, we've seen. I remember, I think it was last year, one of our reps went through the assessment centre, went through one straight after the real one, and got the job straight away because she'd had such good experience on the assessment. So it really is such an important part of the process that we take you through in that module. And Ben, you're second year account at advertising and marketing. So perhaps just say a little bit about the experience you've had on your program so far. So what's that been like in your studies so far as a second year?
Yeah, so in my first year, we did sort of modules to do with finance and general sort of business. So obviously to get everyone up to the same sort of standard, but also it gave me the opportunity to learn a range of different modules as well. So previously I probably wouldn't have considered the financy sort of aspects of business and marketing, but after my first year I actually enjoyed the math sort of modules more than I expected to. So that's something I'm looking at as a future sort of career opportunity and as part of my placement as well. So I think the course
a bit unexpected for you. That was something that you enjoyed. And
previously I didn't really consider math to be my strongest sort of suit, but after my first year and really just learning more about it and how it can be applied as well, I think that was key for me, and not just seeing numbers on a piece of paper, how it can actually be applied in a real sort of business environment. I think that's really key to making it feel a bit more practical.
That's really nice, because it's not necessarily the subject as it was with you that you would necessarily feel is a core discipline for your area, but it sounds like it's also starting to affect your career thinking as well. Is it that? Now, would it perhaps say a bit about where you are now as a second year, just starting to think ahead about to that?
Yeah, so looking at placements at the moment, I want to do a placement year next year, and previously I would have just thought I want marketing and the least amount of math aspects as possible. But from my first year, I'm a lot more confident with sort of Excel spreadsheets, formulas, that sort of area of business that is a key part of business, and I will need to know for the future. Moving more to looking at that aspect actively in my applications and the job descriptions is something that I wouldn't have thought I was doing. So that's really exciting, and looking for that aspect at the moment in my placements.
Yeah, that's great. Well, the very, very best of luck with that. So obviously the placements is the choice that you have available to in your third year, and you're just at that stage now of looking around to find, and that's partly you finding something. It's partly us supporting you with that. That's sort of how it's going, isn't it? I think that's the process we use.
Yeah, it's incredibly helpful.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much, Ben. And Ben, if I may also, you did mention that you're in the BizSoc, which is one of the university's most successful societies, naturally being the BizSoc. So what's that been about? And tell us a bit about the society.
Yeah, so I joined last year. As we join university, we're desperate to make friends, but I think the key with the business society is the opportunity to meet like-minded people who are ambitious. They you can talk and make friends in a different sort of scenario. So you make friends going out, but then make friends sort of more academically. But I found that these friends are more, are even better in a way, because they share that you need to study and your business sort of part of it. But I think being involved in the business talks from speakers. So I think last year they had someone from The Apprentice, the previous year. So I think insight into real life business as well, and also give you the opportunity to speak to someone from an industry that I consider as well. I think it's a great way to meet new people and actually bet you in your university experience and your future career as well.
Thanks so much, Ben. And actually, it's illustrative of I'm sure our guests have been hearing about the wonderful societies that we have. I think 130 of them that run through the Students' Union. But it's an independent group, but of course, it's a big part of the students' experience. And we love working with the BizSoc as well. And it's great that it's such a thriving society. And thank you for sharing some of your experience with that, Ben. So Farhan, we've heard from one of your great students in your department, and there's some themes there that are really important to your department of marketing, languages and tourism. And perhaps just pick up on some of those and say just a little bit more about what it means to be a student in your department, right?
Thank you, Craig. Yeah, I'm really heartened to hear that Ben has had such a great experience with the department, because that is essentially what we aim to achieve. And I'm so pleased that, he's hit upon some really important points that we spend a lot of time and a lot of attention on in the department. And one of the points he raised very early on was spot on. And that was the industry side of things, making sure that our students, whether you're on the marketing, advertising, tourism, events, or even sports business side of our programs, we ensure that we try to get as many industry links as we possibly can, whether that be through guest lectures, or more recently, we've been trying to create many, many more live assessments. And that essentially feeds into what Ben mentioned with assessment centers, for example. If students are exposed to what they will be doing in their working lives, it gives them much more to talk about at assessment centres and at interviews. So we've been very keen to make sure we hit upon that very early, getting industry experts in, not only to lecture and to guest lecture our students, but to set live assessments that they can work on going forward. So that's been a real success point. A couple of other points that I just wanted to mention was, Ben very nicely articulated how the placement is a core element of our degree programs, and we always support and encourage our students to do placements. Just a couple of other things I wanted to mention. We also have a fantastic opportunity to do study abroad periods as well. And we find that students that go on study abroad come back completely revolutionized to a certain extent. They've been exposed to a new culture, a new university. They've got to experience modules that they may not have done here. And they find that experience so enriching. And again, it goes back to making them more employable, because they're able to then talk about their experiences at assessment centers and interviews, just give them that uniqueness going forward in the recruitment process. And so we're really, really impressed that Ben has managed to engage in elements of those extra things that we offer. The final point I just wanted to say is, and Ben referred to this again very nicely, is yes, we have specialist modules in marketing, advertising, events, tourism, and so forth. But actually, you will notice that there are certain modules which have transferability as well, where students are able to acquire general working skills such as finance, such as management, such as leadership, embedded within our degree programs. And I think that's where we all come together under one umbrella, where we're able to provide students the core skills they need to be successful in any future careers they have, irrespective of what industry they go into. So they're just some key points I wanted to highlight. There's many, many more things I could talk about. So I would ask students to refer to our respective departmental talk, where I'm joined by my program leaders, where we go into much more detail on those things.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Farhan, and thank you for also for drawing attention to the international flavour of our student programs. Obviously, has been a little limited in recent months, but we've been doing virtual placements with our students as well, virtual exchanges. And I recall myself pre-lockdown having a wonderful week in Mumbai in India with a group of our students, and it was such a great experience for me, a learning experience for me actually, as well as them. When we indeed took some of our local businesses with us, so it was a really good exchange. We had the international element, we had Indian businesses we were studying. We had lectures at an Indian business school, and we had our students who were from diverse backgrounds themselves. It was a fantastic experience. So, we were very proud of our international background and the elements that we brought in with over 100 partners around the world. So Farhan, thank you so much for mentioning that as well.
You're welcome.
And perhaps I could now come to Chloe. And Chloe, third year accounting finance student. From the conversations we've had in the past, I've always amazed by how much you've been doing with your studies. Perhaps just start by saying a little bit about your experience as an accounting finance student, if you would. And as a third year, you're getting towards the end of the period there. So how has that been for you? What's the experience been like as a student in that department?
Yeah, no problem. So I think, like Ben said, in my first year, I didn't actually study much accounting. We kind of did modules from all around business. So I did marketing, organizational behavior, and then I did also do an accounting module as well. And although it wasn't really to do with my degree, I think the fact that we did that in our first year really helped later on when I was trying to apply for jobs. Because, like, for example, the marketing degree, you get a completely different perspective on your course, and it gives you maybe the skills that you didn't think you needed, but you do when you're going into work. Then in my second year, you get to choose one of your modules, and it kind of feels overwhelming, but you can go to all your lecturers and they can give you advice on which module you'd like to choose and like why. And then in your third year, you also get to choose a module. It's the same type of process. You get loads of exemptions doing this course. So if you want to carry on and become a chartered accountant, a lot of the exams that we actually do at uni, we don't have to do later on because we've already got the certificates for them. So that's really useful. Although we don't really have like an employability module, I'd say from the start of my course, we've had like guest lectures coming in. We've had the opportunity to go and speak to our lecturers if we need help. So, like, for example, last week we had a SEMA workshop and it was an assessment centre. We've got another guest lecture next week to do with auditing. So we're not getting one module, but throughout the whole of our course, we're getting people coming in and talking to us. And we get the chance to get enrolled onto like the professional body websites for undergraduates. So you can get a lot of help to do with that. You can go into the centre at uni and they give you lots of help applying for graduate jobs or placements. They've got booklets if you just want to take them home and read through them. So yeah, I've had a really good experience with
Thanks, Claire. I don't know how you students managed to cram so much in, actually. It's astonishing, it really is, and kudos to you for that. And Chloe, so the employability part has been a central theme for your study so far as well. And I believe you have some direct experience at the university as well in your placements, is that right?
Yeah, so the university actually have a website and you can have a look, and they've got placements that you can take part in. And I took part in a 6-week finance placement at uni. So I went in 1 day a week, and you go through, well, when I went in, you go around the whole department and you spend a day in each area. And I'd say that was probably crucial for me to understand what type of area I'd like to go in for my job, because when I started accounting, I had absolutely no idea if I wanted to do tax or if I wanted to do auditing or something completely different. And having the opportunity to go in so close to home and just get like that one-on-one experience, it really helped me to decide where I'd like to go with my future. And
you have made some decisions, I think.
Yeah, so in my first year, I did a 3-day placement at PwC on the Women in Work, and I've been offered a graduate job through that. So I'd also say, even if in your first year it doesn't seem like it's important to be getting involved, I'd say even if you just have a go, you might actually love it. I had absolutely no idea what I was getting myself into. I didn't realise where I'd come out of it, but you get so much experience going on these placements, even if they're for 3 days or for a week or 6 weeks, and you can get a graduate job at the end of it. They do, for the placements at PwC, you do have to go through the same process, whether it's 3 days or whether it's a graduate job or a summer placement. So it's kind of a good opportunity to get that experience in your first year, and it's kind of out the way after that, so you can almost concentrate on the rest of your studies. That's what I've found, but I'm really looking forward to starting with them in September.
I'm sure you are, Chloe, and many congratulations on behalf of all of us for your success there. It really is fantastic. Thank you, Chloe. And Siobhan, another great example of one of the students in your department, and I think Chloe has picked on some of the things there, particularly in terms of some of those in your area, the professional element of their studies that is so important. So Siobhan, perhaps you could just pick up on some of those themes and how they relate to how you position things in your department, Siobhan.
Absolutely. One of the key things about the programme which Chloe is studying, Accountancy and Finance, is of course the exemptions that we receive from the professional bodies. So we work very closely with our professional bodies, and in fact Chloe was very modest when she mentioned the CIMA visit last week, which of course is one of the accountancy professional bodies, because Chloe was actually on the winning team. So well done, Chloe. Yeah, so that's a great opportunity for students to get the practice, to get the experience. We had a representative from CIMA working with Nadia, one of our third year module leaders, and that's an annual event. CIMA come and do that with the students every year. There is also opportunities, as Chloe mentioned, to have guest speakers, and next week we've got Sir Donald Bryan coming to talk about the future of audit. We also have a number of visiting professors who generally will give talks about governance, and we have another one coming in on the 8th of December who is going to talk about the role of governance and the role of directors. Something that we haven't mentioned yet, actually, is the Lincoln Student Managed Investment Fund. And that is open to all students, particularly in the Department of Accountancy, Finance and Economics. But I know that they are looking for marketing students, Farhan. I just thought I'd mention that, because maybe marketing, although our students study it in the first year, they do require people with more skills to help market the actual fund. But the student managed fund is a real fund. It's run by the students. It's real money. The students have to decide which firms to invest in, and then give a rationale as to why they should make those investments. They then will have to decide whether they want short-term returns or long-term returns, and these decisions are taken by the students. And this was started off by Howe Quach, one of our associate professors, about 3 years ago. And actually, there are only about 4 or 5 other universities in the whole of the UK who have this student managed investment fund. So it's like getting work experience, potentially over the 3 years that you're here at the university. So that is a really worthwhile target to strive for if you're wondering, what can I do to help with my employability skills? In fact, one of our students who got a job in Vietnam had been working with the Student Managed Investment Fund for 3 years, and he needed 3 years work experience in order to get a visa to work in this bank in Vietnam. And they regarded his 3 years experience as evidence that he had some good work experience. So that was superb for us as a university, but for him as a student, it gave him that opportunity to travel and to work abroad. We also have a dual award with in Malaysia. So on Accountancy and Finance, potentially in the 3rd year, students can do an exchange. Obviously, at the moment, that's a bit difficult, but we potentially can take students from Malaysia to study in the 3rd year, or our students could go to Malaysia and study Accountancy and Finance for their 3rd year. So there are lots and lots of opportunities. I haven't mentioned much about economics, but economics is a developing area of our portfolio. And we are developing masters in economics so that our current economics students now have a destination at master's level, whereas before they didn't. They had to, if they wanted to continue their studies in economics, they would have had to go elsewhere. But now we're developing more master's programs, which you as a student, you might think master's is a long way away, but it's not really. It can be the start of your trajectory towards potentially a PhD, because economics is one of the areas where we have lots of research going on, and students want to get involved in that research and develop it through their master's program, and finally, potentially a PhD. Finance, of course, is another area that we haven't really mentioned, but we have programs in banking and finance and business and finance. And business and finance is a growing program because, of course, you have the experience in finance, but you also have that wider business input, which develops from some of those modules that you've studied in the first year, which were not strictly accounting or finance.
Thank you, Siobhan. That's fantastic. And of course, again, some more themes, particularly the international theme. Again, the work that we do on employability. And I know the investment fund is real money the students are working with.
Yep.
Astonishing, really. So thank you so much for drawing attention to that. And economics may be a new program, but I know in the recent student satisfaction survey, we had 100% satisfaction from the students.
We did.
It was astonishing. So well done to your department for that. We have had a question come in that from Rob. Thanks, Rob. I have a module synopsis for BA Honours Business Management. Is there anywhere I can learn more about what is required for reflective learning logs, portfolio, academic reports, etc.? So Joanna, I think this is one from you. Could you say a bit about that, Joanna?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Rob. It's a great question and gives us an opportunity to just unpick some of the sorts of assessments you might get asked to undertake. So reflective learning logs, I'm quite passionate about reflective learning. We don't just teach you facts that you then regurgitate in an exam or in an essay or something like that. We want you to reflect. We want you to look back, as you might do looking in a mirror, reflect on what you've learned. Challenge what you've learned and also apply it to yourselves. In just taking that little bit of time out to pause and think, is this valid? Is it valid in this situation? Does it work? Does it apply to me? Can be really, really critical in terms of then making recommendations and making management actions rather than just blindly following on what we've done before. We've done a huge amount of reflection, as you can imagine, since the pandemic, and we've had to really think and rethink about the way we do things. And that's exactly what we want to teach you and want you to practice in your assessments. So that might be something you do in terms of documenting in a log the things you've learned. Think of a log like a diary. You're just making notes as and when, and then you might bring together those thoughts, those emotions. This just isn't theory. It's about very much the human side of how we learn and how we work. A portfolio is something similar, where you might build up your learning and your assessment piece by piece in small bite-sized amounts to make a big portfolio at the end that you present. So you learn and bank that learning gradually. You don't have to remember it all at the end of the year, but then bring it together and think, okay, now what have I learned over the year? And I've got all these little pieces of evidence and learning so far that I can pull back on and learn. And the same with reports. We want you to be able to write succinctly, maybe write in bullet points, get your point and your argument across in a way that is structured and focused. And writing academic reports and teaching you how to do that will really help you then be able to communicate in business when you go out into the world with a job. So I hope that gives you a little bit of insight into what those three aspects.
Thank you, Joanna. Thank you, Rob, for the question. It's another very interesting area of the student's experience that we've been able to define. So, and now we're getting towards our time as ever. Now, I'd like to leave the last word with our students, if I may, and I'd like each of our students thinking about people who are thinking about coming to the University of Lincoln Business School. What is the one thing for you? If you answer the question, why Lincoln? What would you say to them? What's the one thing for you that you would say to them that you'd say this is why to choose Lincoln? Now, perhaps Valeria, could you start us with that?
So for me, I think it's the environment. So, for example, we get a city that it's mainly focused on students, and everything is in a walking distance. So that's the main thing that I love about Lincoln, because I can walk to the town center, to shops, to campus. I can go to the sports area at the university. Everything is really close. And also about the environment is that the university is really culturally diverse, so they always make sure that everyone feels welcomed, and it's just like a big family.
Thank you, Larry. That's excellent. A big family. I think we'll all subscribe to that. Brilliant. Thank you. Chloe, for you.
I would say that there's like never-ending support. It doesn't matter where you need support, whether it's within your course or personal life, or whether it's in your accommodation, if you're trying to find accommodation, in your career, if you're second guessing your course and you want to move on to a different course. It doesn't really matter what type of support you need, but there is always going to be someone that you can talk to, whether it's your lecturer or the different departments at uni. There's support in when you join societies. There's just never-ending support, and I think you can't really buy that.
And that's fantastic. Thank you so much, Chloe. Great to see you here as well. And Ben, for you.
Yeah, so sort of similar to what Valeria was saying about Lincoln, the city itself. So I think, as you said about everything's in walking distance, everything you want is right in the centre, and the position of the accommodations as well. So it's only like 15 minutes to go to a supermarket or to go out. But also, I think the closest one to the Libs school is Junction, which you could roll out of bed and get there on time. I think that's a great part of Lincoln, that everything is so close and compact, but it also offers so much as a city. And I think for the course itself and Libs in general is the lecturers having real industry knowledge where they can apply what they teach. For me, as I've said, it makes it more come alive, and I can understand it better when I can apply it. So having industry knowledge, publishing research, I think that's great, and it makes me feel more confident as well. So I think that's great about Lincoln.
And that's so good to hear. Thank you very much, Ben, indeed. And Callum, for you.
Well, that's really difficult because it's just. I think it's the quality control you get. It's again, the University of Lincoln is it's a gold-rated TEF, which is Teaching Excellence Framework. You are, again, as mentioned by the other students, you are looked after from day one. The support is in place out for your journey through Lincoln. The connections is beyond magnificent, whether it's for placements, if it's voluntary work you want to do, or for graduates. There is always something for someone who comes to Lincoln, and you are given every opportunity everywhere of the set. And again, I think, especially from my course, it's maybe rethink and transformed me into some of the things that I do today, and I feel very work ready for when I complete my degree. And it's that all-in-one community, and it's that sense of belonging you get, and it's that pride you wake up every single day with, and it just.
Wow, that's fantastic. I mean, all of us are so proud of our students, and I think we've got some four fantastic representatives of our student body here. We are up against our time. Thank you so much to our students, especially to my colleagues, for joining us today. I hope for those of you who are listening, it's giving you a little bit of a flavour for what it's like to live and study at the Lincoln International Business School. If you do need more information, have a look at our subject talks, or if you can, do come and talk to us. Come and see us when you can. And find out a bit more about it. We do hope to see you here next year. Happy Diwali if anybody is celebrating this weekend. And we're going to finish with a short medley which just gives you a little bit more of a flavour of the business school and the University of Lincoln. Thank you, everybody.
Why did I choose Lincoln International Business School? I chose it because I fell in love with it at the application day.
I chose Lincoln Business School because after speaking to people about their experiences here, I knew that I'd be happy.
So doing a placement gives you so much more confidence when entering the workplace for the first time, because you've got that experience underneath your belt.
Not only will you learn loads of new things and discover what you want to do in the future, but you also be more determined than ever when you come back to the final year to complete your degree.
Anything I've learned from like marketing to business management, I've put into practice here. I've obviously improved on it. A year of working in the business, you achieve incredible things.
Hello, my name is Hao Quach. I'm a principal lecturer and program leader for banking and finance. I'm the founder of the Student Managed Fund at the University of Lincoln. The fund is organized the same way as any professional investment company in the real world. It is one of only few of this kind in the UK. Students participating in the fund have the opportunities to meet with experts from the field, and they are given additional trainings to their works.
So one of the things I enjoy about being a member of Ailsmith is that I get to learn in a practical sense, which I find much more enjoyable and interesting than just learning straight from a textbook.
Being part and a member of investment fund is getting many benefits, and the most I enjoy the personal feedback from industry experts.
Also, it's a great way to develop presentation skills and soft skills, which are highly important for the world of work.
The ultimate goal of the fund, therefore, is for students to gain work experience while they are studying at the University of Lincoln. That helps them prepare for the job market after graduation.
Hi, so I'm Eleanor Priest and I've graduated today with a first class honours in business and finance. I can't even put into words how amazing it was to sit in that cathedral, which is stunning. Like, the pictures don't even do it justice. It just feels so surreal, and it's amazing to celebrate with everybody that you've worked with for the past 4 years, and obviously all your family who have supported you throughout. So yeah, it's been amazing, and it's definitely one of my highlights from university.